The storm came fast, louder than any blast Ethan had heard before. Thunder rolled over the hills like falling mountains, and red lightning lit the sky. His dropship had gone down during a patrol flight over the border zone, and now he was alone. His comms were dead, and his suit's beacon was broken. Ethan dragged himself through the cold rain, slipping in mud and pushing through broken branches. He didn't even know if he was still in human territory or if he had crossed into Scifi land. The map in his helmet flickered and vanished. He was on his own now. Then he saw the cave. He didn't think. He just ran for it. As soon as he stepped inside, the rain softened behind him. Like the world had been shut out, he dropped to one knee, catching his breath, steam rising from his soaked armor. That's when he heard the click. Not a sound of stone, not water. It was the sharp click of a weapon. He froze. Slowly, he turned his head. She stood at the far end of the cave, armor cracked and dark with dry blood, tall, lean, and silent. Her silver skin shimmered even in the darkness, and her sharp yellow eyes locked onto his like a blade. Shari single quotes Kai. Ethan didn't raise his weapon. He didn't speak, neither did she. For a long moment, they stared at each other, enemies, both stranded by the storm, both wounded, both lost. Then she lowered her spear. He did the same with his blaster. Ethan moved to the other side of the cave and sat down, far from her. Neither of them turned their backs. The fire between them wasn't from the cave, it was from the air. Thick, tense, dangerous. But they didn't fight. The rain outside grew stronger. Thunder echoed off the stone walls. They were trapped together until morning. She spoke first. Her voice was low and rough, like wind through metal. Why didn't you shoot? Ethan looked up. Same reason you didn't. She nodded slightly. That was all. Hours passed. Neither slept. After a while, Ethan offered her a water pack. She didn't take it right away. Then, slowly, she did. She drank, then handed it back without a word. The silence wasn't cold now. It was strange calm. What's your name? He asked. She hesitated. Kaylari. He nodded. Ethan. Double quotes. Another silence. The storm raged on. It felt like the world outside was breaking apart, but inside, they sat still, both listening to the same sounds, breathing the same air. When the cold got worse, he pulled out a heat blanket. He tossed one end to her. Again, she paused, then pulled it around herself. They didn't speak of the war. They didn't speak of their missions, or of blood, or of duty. Instead, they listened. One time, she said softly, "We do not trust your kind." He didn't answer. After a while, he said, "We don't understand yours." Kaylari looked at him. Her eyes weren't angry now, just tired. As the night dragged on, they shifted closer, not touching, just near enough for warmth. Ethan looked at her again and saw more than an enemy. She had scars, not just from battle, old ones, deep ones. He didn't know her story, and she didn't know his. But in that moment, it didn't matter. He found himself asking, "Do you ever get tired of it?" She looked confused. Of what? All of it. Fighting. Hate. Being told who you are before anyone even meets you. She was quiet. Then she said, "Yes." The cave went silent again. But this silence was different. Softer. Like peace. They stayed. Like that till the storm passed. Two warriors from different worlds, sitting side by side. No war. No fear. No orders. Just one night. And when the sun rose and the clouds broke, they didn't say goodbye. Kaylari stepped into the light and walked away, not looking back. Ethan watched her until she disappeared behind the trees. He didn't follow, but he never forgot. After that night in the cave, Ethan found it hard to focus on anything else. The war had ended quickly after the ceasefire, and the Scifi disappeared from human space. No one talked about them anymore. For most, they were just a memory. For Ethan, they were much more. He kept the memory of Kaylari close. He never told anyone about her. It was a secret he held tightly. The others in his unit joked about the alien warriors, calling them cold, unfeeling enemies. But Ethan knew better. She had been strong, yes, proud, yes, but also something else. Something human. Back on Earth, Ethan tried to settle into his old life. The nights were the hardest. He would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about her yellow eyes, the way she had looked at him without hate or fear. He wondered what had happened to her after the war ended. Was she safe? Was she alone? One day, Ethan visited the local park. Children played near the swings, laughing and running. He watched them, feeling a strange mix of hope and sadness. He wished for something simple: a family, a home, a future. But his life had been shaped by war and duty. He wasn't sure if such things were meant for him. Time moved on. But Ethan's thoughts often drifted back to that night, the quiet moments in the cave, the warmth they shared without words. He realized it had changed him. It had shown him that enemies could be more than just foes. They could be people. He longed for peace not just in the galaxy, but in his own heart. Months passed. Then one afternoon, as Ethan was repairing his old dropship near a small settlement, strange ships appeared on the horizon. Unlike any human or known alien design, the ships glided silently, and their shapes seemed both organic and mechanical. People stopped and stared. Whispers spread. Ethan's heart raced. The ships landed near the settlement without warning. From one of them stepped a tall figure, silver skin shining in the sun, armor left behind. Ethan's breath caught. It was Kayl-Ari. In her arms, she carried a small child. The child's eyes were bright like hers, but the face, it looked like Ethan's. The crowd parted as Ethan approached. Kayl-Ari's eyes met his. "She needs you," Kayl-Ari said softly. The child reached out to Ethan with small hands. Her hair was dark, like his, but her skin had a faint shimmer, something alien. Ethan knelt down slowly and took her hand. The moment felt unreal. Questions rushed through Ethan's mind. How? Why? What was this child? Kayl-Ari explained in a low voice that her people did not accept children born between Scifi and humans. The child was seen as a danger, a mistake. Kayl-Ari had hidden her pregnancy during the war and fled her homeworld after the ceasefire to protect her daughter. Now, she had returned not as a warrior, but as a mother seeking help. Ethan's single quotes as heart ached. This was no longer war or politics. This was family. He promised to protect them. But danger followed. Soon, Ethan and Kayl-Ari learned that Scifi hunters were searching for the child. They wanted to take her away, to erase what they called the impurity. The hunters were ruthless and well-equipped. Kayl-Ari, Ethan, and the child had to leave the settlement quickly. They traveled through forgotten colonies and hidden stations, always looking over their shoulders. Along the way, Ethan began to see the child's unique gifts. She had strength beyond human limits and senses sharper than any soldier's. But she was also gentle and curious, laughing at simple games and watching the stars with wonder. Ethan taught her simple things: how to walk, to speak a few words in his language, how to smile. Kayl-Ari shared stories of her people, the Scifi, proud race bound by tradition and honor, but also fear of change. Fear of what the child represented. The three of them grew closer. No longer just allies or strangers. They were family. Ethan felt something new. Hope that maybe, just maybe, the future could be different. A future where a child could belong, no matter where she came from. The cold wind blew across the abandoned colony as Ethan, Kayl-Ari, and the child moved quietly through the shadows. The settlement was empty. Cracked walls and broken windows telling stories of a place long forgotten. But for now, it was a safe spot, a temporary shelter from the hunters who chased them. The child, named Lyra by Kayl-Ari, clung to Ethan's hand. She was curious, her wide eyes looking at everything with wonder. Even in the darkness, her glowing eyes shimmered softly like stars. Ethan smiled softly, feeling warmth in his chest. "Lyra, look," Kayl-Ari said, pointing to the sky. Stars stretched across the black velvet of space, blinking silently. They watched over us. Ethan watched the two. Kayl-Ari, once a fierce warrior, now a gentle mother. Lyra, a child born from two worlds. He felt a strange peace in the moment. But danger was never far. At night, Ethan kept watch outside their shelter. The quiet was thick. broken only by distant sounds, howling winds, the hum of old machines. Every shadow seemed alive. Every noise made his heart race. He thought about the war, the battles he fought, and the enemy who be. It came more than that. Kaelari was still a mystery, but he trusted her with his life. And Lyra, she was the future. Do you think we will be safe here? Ethan asked Kaelari as she prepared a simple meal. She shook her head slowly. No place is safe now. The hunters will find us if we stay too long. We must keep moving. Ethan nodded, understanding, but he also wished for a moment to rest, to breathe without fear. Over the days, Ethan began to notice Lyra's unusual strength. One afternoon, she lifted a heavy crate with ease, something no human child could do. But she did it gently, smiling at Ethan as if to say, "Look what I can do." Kaelari explained, "She has the strength of the Sharikai and the heart of the human. Both sides live in her." Ethan reached out and touched Lyra's glowing cheek. "She's special." Kaelari's eyes softened. "Yes, but that is why. They want her gone." They spoke little of the hunters, but the fear was always there. Ethan kept weapons ready, set traps, and scanned the skies for any sign of pursuit. One evening, around a small fire, Ethan told Lyra stories of Earth, of blue oceans, tall mountains, and endless skies. Lyra listened with wide eyes, trying to imagine a world she had never seen. Kaelari joined in, telling tales of the Sharikai as honor and ancient traditions. Lyra sat between them, caught between two worlds. "Will I ever go home?" Lyra asked softly, her small voice full of hope and fear. Ethan looked at Kaelari, who sighed deeply. "Home is where we choose to be," Kaelari said. "For now, we make our own." Ethan smiled. "We are your family, Lyra, and we will protect you." Lyra smiled back, reaching out to hold both their hands. But the peace was broken one night. A loud crash shattered the silence. Ethan's eyes snapped open. Shadows moved outside the shelter. The hunters had found them. Kaelari stood, fierce and ready. Ethan grabbed his weapon, heart pounding. Lyra hid behind Kaelari, clutching her tightly. The hunters entered, dark figures with advanced armor and cold eyes. They spoke in sharp, harsh tones. "The child belongs to the Sharikai," one said. "Return her." Kaelari stepped forward. "She belongs to no one but me, and to him," she said, nodding toward Ethan. The hunters laughed. But then a sudden light filled the cave. Lyra stepped forward, her hands glowing with soft energy. Without harm, she raised a shield of light around them. The hunters paused, surprised. The child's power was real and strong, stronger than anyone expected. For a moment, no one moved. Then some hunters lowered their weapons. Something had changed. Ethan looked at Kaelari, eyes wide. "Maybe," he whispered, "this is the start of something new." The sun rose slowly over the quiet valley as Ethan, Kaelari, and Lyra prepared to move again. The night's encounter with the hunters was both frightening and strange. The child's power had stopped the attackers without violence, and some of the hunters had hesitated, lowering their weapons in shock. Ethan watched Lyra closely. She was still small, but the energy she could create was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was gentle, a soft glow that seemed to protect rather than harm. Yet he knew that many in the Sharikai would see it as a threat. Kaelari packed their few belongings while speaking quietly to Ethan. "We cannot stay. The hunters will talk, and soon many will come. We must find a place where Lyra can grow safely." Ethan nodded. "But where?" "Every system we know is watched." Kaelari's eyes looked far away. "There are places beyond the map. Forgotten worlds, abandoned colonies, places where no one dares to go." Ethan agreed. "Then we go there, wherever it takes us." Their journey took them through old star routes, places where only the bravest or the desperate traveled. Lyra was fascinated by the stars and the strange planets they passed. She smiled often now, a light in the dark days. One evening, as they rested on a quiet moon, Ethan taught Lyra to speak some human words. She tried hard, her tongue clumsy but eager. "Family," Ethan said, holding out his hands. Lyra repeated, "Family." Kaelari smiled softly. "A word that means much," something I once did not understand. Ethan looked at her. What changed? Kaylari's gaze was distant. Their nights were filled with stories. Kaylari told of her people, the Sharikai, who were proud warriors with strict laws. Their honor was everything, and they feared what Lyra represented, a new path, a break from tradition. They see her as a mistake, Kaylari said. But I see her as hope. Ethan reached out, touching Lyra's glowing hand. She is our future. But not all believed that future was peaceful. One day, as they landed on a small, forested planet to rest, scouts from the hunters appeared again. This time, they were more prepared. The hunters demanded Lyra's return. Ethan stood tall. She is under my protection, he said firmly. You will not take her. The hunters laughed, their voices cold. Kaylari stepped forward, her eyes flashing. We will fight if we must. The air was tense. Then, Lyra stepped between them, glowing brighter than before. She raised her hands, but this time her energy was calm and clear, like a wave washing over anger. The hunters hesitated, feeling the power and peace in the child's light. She is not your enemy, Lyra said softly. She is not your weapon. Some hunters lowered their weapons again. Ethan saw the change. There was fear, yes, but also curiosity. Kaylari looked at Ethan. Maybe this is the beginning of understanding. They spent the next days talking slowly, carefully with some of the hunters. Old hatred mixed with hope. Lyra showed them kindness and strength, a living bridge between two worlds. Ethan realized that the war might not end with more fighting. Maybe, just maybe, it could end with change. As they prepared to leave the forested planet, Kaylari held Lyra close. This journey is just the start, she said. Ethan smiled, feeling the weight of the future on his shoulders, but also the warmth of family beside him. They boarded their small ship, ready to face whatever stars awaited. The ship hummed softly as Ethan, Kaylari, and Lyra traveled through deep space. Outside, stars stretched endlessly, silent and cold. Inside, the small family sat together, a fragile peace holding them close. Ethan watched Lyra as she played with a small toy sphere that glowed faintly. Her laughter filled the cabin, bright and pure. It was the first time he had heard such joy in months. Kaylari prepared a simple meal, her movements careful and steady. She had changed since their journey began. The fierce warrior was now also a mother, her eyes softer, her heart fuller. Lyra is growing stronger every day, Kaylari said quietly. But so is the danger. Ethan nodded. The hunters will not stop easily. They had agreed to seek a place where Lyra could live without fear, a world far from war and judgment. Ethan spoke up. Do you think she will ever be accepted by her people? Kaylari looked away. I do not know. Many will see her as a threat. Others may see hope. But for now, she is ours. Lyra climbed into Ethan's lap, wrapping small arms around his neck. Family, she whispered. Ethan smiled, kissing her forehead. Yes, family. Days passed. Kaylari taught Lyra about the Sharikai, their traditions, their values. Lyra listened, wide-eyed but brave. Our people value honor above all, Kaylari said. But sometimes, fear blinds honor, Ethan added. And humans, we value love and choice. Maybe there is a way to bring those together. Kaylari smiled faintly. Maybe. One evening, Lyra sat with Ethan and Kaylari, looking up at the stars through the ship's window. Will I be like them? She asked, pointing to the stars. You will be who you want, Ethan replied. Not what anyone expects. Kaylari reached out, holding Lyra's hand gently. You are special, and you have the power to change worlds. Lyra smiled, her glowing eyes shining bright. But peace was not meant to last. Warning alarms sounded. Suddenly, Ethan sprang to his feet. Hunters, he said grimly, they found us again. Kaylari took Lyra in her arms, protective and fierce. The ship shook as lasers hit the hull. Ethan fired back, guiding the ship through asteroid fields and debris. Lyra watched, eyes wide but calm. Then, as the hunters closed in, Lyra did something no one expected. She reached out with her hands, releasing a wave of light. The energy spread, pushing the hunters' ships away without harm. Ethan stared, amazed. She's protecting us. Kaylari nodded, pride and worry mixing in her eyes. The hunters retreated, their ships disappearing into the darkness. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling hope and fear at the same time. We can't run forever, he said. Kaylari agreed. We will stand, for Lyra, for our future. The three sat together, stronger now, not just as survivors, but as a family ready to face whatever came next. The silence inside the ship was heavy. Ethan, Kaylari, and Lyra sat together, feeling the weight of what was to come. The hunters had retreated, but their threat was far from over. The chase would continue unless they made a stand. Kaylari looked at Ethan, her eyes full of quiet determination. We cannot run forever. It is time. Ethan nodded. We fight, but not just for survival. For Lyra's future. They planned carefully. Their small ship was not built for battle, but they had what mattered most: knowledge and heart. Kaylari taught Ethan how to use the Sharikai's old defense systems hidden on a nearby moon. Ancient weapons and traps that could hold off the hunters. Lyra listened, curious but calm. She wanted to help. She wanted to protect the family that had saved her. When the hunters returned, the three were ready. The moon's surface was rough and rocky. Ethan, Kaylari, and Lyra moved silently through the shadows, setting traps and preparing defenses. As the hunters' ships approached, the family took their positions. The first wave of attackers entered the moon's caves. Suddenly, traps triggered energy. Nets, loud alarms, blinding lights. The hunters were caught off guard. Kaylari led the defense, moving with grace and power. Ethan fired carefully, protecting Kaylari and Lyra. Lyra stayed behind a rock, watching. She felt a growing power inside her, stronger than before. Then, one hunter broke through the traps and charged toward her. Lyra stepped forward. Glowing brightly, she raised her hands, and a shield of light formed around her. The hunter stopped, surprised. Then Lyra reached out, not to fight, but to calm. Soft energy flowed from her hands, touching the hunter's mind and heart. The hunter's eyes softened. He lowered his weapon. The others saw this and hesitated. Kaylari took the chance. We do not want more war, she called out. Let this child show you a better way. A few hunters stepped back, lowering their weapons. Ethan moved closer, standing beside Kaylari and Lyra. We are not enemies, he said. We are a family. The hunters whispered among themselves. Something had changed. The battle ended without bloodshed. Kaylari looked at Ethan and smiled. This is hope, Ethan nodded, and the start of peace. Lyra held both their hands, her glowing eyes bright. Together, they stood on the rocky moon, three beings from two worlds, united by love and courage. The silence after the battle felt different. It was not the quiet of fear or waiting, it was the calm of something new beginning. Ethan, Kaylari, and Lyra stood together on the rocky moon, looking at the stars above. They had faced the hunters, and the hunters had left not as enemies, but with questions. Kaylari held Lyra close, her heart full. The child's light has touched even the hardest hearts. Ethan smiled, feeling hope stronger than ever. Maybe this is the change we needed. The hunters had left, but the story was far from over. The Sharikai would take time to accept the new path. But Lyra was a living proof that change was possible. As their ship lifted off the moon, Ethan looked at his small family. The child who looked like him, the alien warrior who had changed his world, and himself a human caught between two worlds. Where do we go now? Ethan asked softly. Kaylari looked at the stars. To find a place where Lyra can grow without fear, where she can be free. Their journey took them beyond the maps, to forgotten planets and quiet stars. Lyra grew stronger, learning from both her parents. She learned to use her powers with kindness, to protect without harm. One day, on a peaceful world surrounded by blue skies and green forests, they found their new home. A place without war, where the past could be left behind. Ethan, Kaylari, and Lyra built a life there. They planted gardens, told stories, and dreamed of a future where all beings could live in peace. Lyra ran through fields, laughing with joy. She was no longer just a child of two worlds. She was a symbol of hope, a bridge between species. Ethan watched her and felt a warmth he had never known. This family, born from one night's chance, was his greatest victory. Kailari sat beside him, her hand in his. "We are not just survivors," she said. "We are creators of a new future." Ethan nodded, and it all began with a night, a storm, and a warrior's courage. As the sun set, the family stood together, ready for whatever the stars might bring. They were no longer just human or Sharikai. They were something new, and the galaxy would never forget.